Hello, little friends. Welcome to the Sabbath School study for minors. This week's lesson is titled Love on a Cross, with the memory verse, "Truly, this man was the Son of God." Matthew 27:54. The message tells us, just like Jesus, we can share God's love with anyone, anywhere. Now listen to the story for this week. Have you ever felt a very strong pain? You just wanted to be left alone, right? Jesus' followers didn't want to know anything about the horrors of Pilate's trial. Jesus had been whipped, soldiers had mocked and insulted him. People had even spat in his face. And now he would die on the cross. Many of those who followed Jesus, including those he had healed, could not believe what was happening. Nevertheless, it was strange that Jesus had not defended himself against his accusers. The group finally reached Golgotha, called the place of the skull. The astonished followers saw a large crowd gathered on the mountain. Many had come to see him for the last time and were very saddened. But there were also people there mocking him. Already there were 2 criminals at the place being tied to their crosses. One of them fought furiously to free himself from the Roman soldiers. When he was nailed to the cross, he began to curse those present. The other prisoner remained calm and cried. He allowed the soldiers to tie him to the cross without offering any resistance. The Roman soldiers prepared the cross where they would crucify Jesus. Then they roughly laid him on it, causing the thorns of the crown to pierce his forehead and head. Blood ran down his already bruised face. However, Jesus did not resist as he waited for the Roman soldiers to finish their work. 2 soldiers knelt on either side of Jesus' arms. They had thick nails with which they pierced his hands with several hammer blows. The soldiers then did the same with Jesus' feet, placing one on top of the other. But he didn't even utter a whimper. How much it must have hurt Jesus, who had raised the dead, healed, and helped people. When the echo of the cruel hammer blows faded on the mountainside, those present heard Jesus say, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Jesus' followers were moved when they heard his words of forgiveness for his executioners. When the soldiers lifted the cross to plant it in place, people saw Jesus' lacerated and bleeding back. Although the rough wood hurt his torn flesh, Jesus did not complain. The thief who had rebelled cursed the soldiers and shouted profanities at the crowd. He was furious. Suddenly, he turned to Jesus. "I've heard of you," he shouted. "I once heard you talking to people about a place called heaven. Where is your heaven now?" Jesus' friends saw him slowly turn his head to the thief, who opened his eyes with difficulty and looked at him with pity. "If you are the Messiah," the thief continued mockingly, "why don't you save yourself? And while you're at it, you could save us too." The other thief, writhing in pain, rebuked him. "Shut up! We deserve to die because we have sinned. But this man is innocent. Don't bother him." Then he looked at Jesus and said, "I believe in you, Jesus. Don't forget me when you establish your kingdom." Jesus made a painful effort to speak and said, "Truly, I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise." Those present listened in amazement to that conversation. Although it was difficult for him to speak, Jesus still offered words of loving comfort, even though he himself was agonizing on the cross. If you want to know more details, look in your Bible at the passages Matthew 27:66, Luke 23:26-49. You can also find more in The Desire of Ages in chapters 78-79. Support this content by sharing and subscribing to the channel. May God bless you abundantly. See you next week.